There are 10 people on this planet who collectively own close to $1 billion in watches. One of them is a 30-year-old who wears a $9 million Patek Philippe to casual meetings like it's a Casio. Another made a watch skyrocket from $30,000 to $126,000 just by saying he liked it on camera. These are not investors flipping pieces for profit. These are obsessed collectors who chase mechanical perfection regardless of price and own timepieces most people will never see in person. Today, we are ranking all 10 from impressive to absolutely insane. Let's start at number 10. Number 10. John Goldberger, the vintage specialist. John Goldberger's real name is Auro Montanari. He is one of the most respected figures in vintage watch collecting. Goldberger has written nearly a dozen books on watches, and his expertise is recognized worldwide. His collection focuses on ultra-rare vintage pieces from Patek Philippe, Rolex, and Cartier. The total value of Goldberger's collection remains private, though his specialization in museum-quality vintage timepieces places him among serious collectors. Vintage Patek Philippe perpetual calendar chronographs from the 1940s and 1950s routinely sell for millions at auction. Goldberger owns multiple examples. His Rolex collection includes rare military submariners and prototype Daytonas that most collectors have only seen in auction catalogs. What sets Goldberger apart is not just ownership but knowledge. He can identify a fake vintage Patek from across a room. His books are reference materials used by auction houses to authenticate pieces worth 7 figures. When Christie's or Phillips needs an expert opinion on a rare vintage watch, they call Goldberger. His collection represents decades of hunting for the rarest examples. He does not chase hype, he chases history. A Patek Philippe reference 1518 in pink gold. A Rolex Daytona Paul Newman with provenance. A Cartier crash from the original 1960s production. These are watches that appreciate not because of marketing, but because they are genuinely irreplaceable. Goldberger operates quietly. No Instagram, no YouTube, just a private collection built on expertise and patience. Based on the caliber of pieces he is known to own, experts estimate his collection in the range of $3 to $8 million. For a collector focused on quality over quantity, that represents some of the finest vintage horology ever produced. Number 9. Jasem Al-Zeraei, the Patek Philippe specialist. Known on Instagram as @Patekaholic, Jasem Al-Zeraei is one of the most influential Patek Philippe collectors in the world. His focus is singular: Patek Philippe. Nothing else. And within that focus, he has a particular appreciation for Tiffany-stamped dials. Al-Zeraei keeps his collection's worth undisclosed, but his Instagram provides glimpses of what he owns. Patek Philippe Nautilus references that are nearly impossible to obtain at retail. Aquanaut chronographs in configurations that were produced in limited numbers. Perpetual calendar models with Tiffany co-branding that command 6-figure premiums over standard versions. Al-Zeraei's influence extends beyond ownership. When he declares a particular reference his favorite, the market listens. He stated publicly that the Aquanaut chronograph reference 5968 is his preferred modern Patek to wear. That model's secondary market value increased noticeably following his endorsement. His opinion carries weight because collectors know he has access to virtually every modern Patek Philippe reference produced. The Tiffany stamp obsession is not arbitrary. Patek Philippe allowed Tiffany and Company to stamp their name on dials for watches sold through their boutiques. These co-branded pieces are rarer than standard production and appeal to collectors who value exclusivity within exclusivity. Al-Zeraei owns multiple Tiffany-stamped Pateks across different references and metals. His collection represents a focused approach to collecting. Instead of owning a little bit of everything, he owns the best of one thing. Based on visible pieces and his known acquisitions, experts estimate his collection between $5 and $10 million. That estimate is conservative given the rarity of Tiffany-stamped modern Pateks and their appreciation over the past decade. Number 8. Alfredo Paramico, the long-term investor. Alfredo Paramico started collecting watches in the 1990s when he was an investment banker. 3 decades later, he owns one of the most diverse high-end collections in private hands. Paramico collects across brands: Rolex, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, Vacheron Constantin, Breguet, Blancpain, IWC, and Omega all appear in his collection. What makes Paramico unusual is his publicly stated love for Longines. Most collectors at his level focus exclusively on the top-tier Swiss brands. Paramico appreciates accessible watchmaking alongside the ultra-luxury pieces. He has stated in interviews that Longines offers exceptional value, and he owns multiple examples from their heritage collections. No official valuation of Paramico's collection has been released, though he has been collecting for over 30 years, during a period when vintage and modern high-end watches appreciated dramatically. A Rolex Daytona purchased in the 1990s for $10,000 sells today for $100,000 or more. A Patek Philippe Nautilus bought at retail in 2005 trades on the secondary market for multiples of its original price. Paramico represents the collector who got in early and stayed in. He bought when prices were rational and held through multiple market cycles. His collection includes pieces acquired before the internet made price discovery instantaneous. That timing advantage, combined with decades of accumulation, places his collection in the $5 to $10 million range based on publicly available information about his holdings. His approach demonstrates that successful watch collecting is not about chasing the latest release. It is about identifying quality, buying at fair prices, and giving time to work. Paramico built his collection the old-fashioned way, slowly and thoughtfully over 3 decades. Number 7. Kevin Hart, the complication collector. Comedian and actor Kevin Hart is known for his stand-up specials and Hollywood movies. In the watch world, he is known for his collection of highly complicated modern timepieces. Hart gravitates toward watches with tourbillons, perpetual calendars, and minute repeaters. These are the most technically advanced watches produced by Swiss manufacturers. Collection value estimates are based on publicly visible pieces rather than official disclosure. Hart has been photographed wearing pieces that tell the story. Patek Philippe Grand Complications. Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Perpetual Calendars with gem-set bezels. Rolex sports watches in rare factory configurations. His collection spans modern luxury across multiple brands. Hart's approach favors complications. A tourbillon is a mechanism designed to counter the effects of gravity on a watch movement. It is expensive to produce and requires significant hand finishing. A perpetual calendar automatically adjusts for months of different lengths and leap years, accurate until 2100. A minute repeater chimes the time on demand using hammers, striking gongs inside the case. These complications add tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to a watch's price. Based on publicly visible pieces, Hart owns multiple watches in the $100,000 to $300,000 range. A Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar retails for over $200,000. An Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Tourbillon exceeds that. Documented sightings suggest Hart owns at least a dozen high-complication pieces alongside his Rolex sports watch collection. Industry observers estimate his collection between $8 and $15 million. That estimate accounts for the high average value of complicated watches and the breadth of brands represented in his publicly visible acquisitions. Hart collects what impresses him mechanically, not what trends on Instagram. That focus on complications over hype defines his collecting philosophy. Number 6. Mark Wahlberg, the Rolex enthusiast. Mark Wahlberg is one of Hollywood's most prominent watch collectors. His focus is clear: Rolex and Patek Philippe. Wahlberg has been photographed wearing an extensive variety of Rolex models, particularly Submariners. He owns multiple Submariner references in yellow gold, including the 16618LN with black ceramic bezel and the 16613LB with blue bezel and dial. Wahlberg keeps his collection's total worth private, but his preference for precious metal Rolex sports watches places him in rare company. A yellow gold Submariner retails for over $40,000. Wahlberg owns at least 2 confirmed examples. He has also been spotted wearing Rolex Daytona models and GMT masterpieces in various configurations. Wahlberg's taste extends to Patek Philippe. In April 2022, he shared a video on Instagram wearing a Tiffany blue Patek Philippe Nautilus reference 5711. Only 170 of these watches were produced. The retail price was $52,000, but secondary market prices immediately exceeded $500,000. Most actors rent watches for red carpets. Wahlberg buys them. His collection demonstrates a Hollywood celebrity with genuine watch enthusiasm. He does not just wear watches for red carpets. He rotates through his collection regularly and has been photographed wearing different pieces across years of public appearances. The consistency suggests real ownership, not loaned pieces for events. Based on documented sightings of precious metal Rolex sports watches, limited edition Patek Philippe references, and the breadth of his collection, experts estimate Wahlberg's holdings between $10 and $20 million. That range accounts for multiple six-figure watches and the appreciation those pieces have experienced over his years of collecting. Number 5. Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah, the Royal Collector. Hassanal Bolkiah is the Sultan of Brunei and one of the world's longest-serving heads of state. With an estimated net worth of $28 billion, the Sultan has access to virtually any watch ever produced. His collection spans Patek Philippe, Richard Mille, Rolex, and Audemars Piguet. The Sultan's watch collection value remains private, though he has been photographed wearing some of the most exclusive modern timepieces available. A Richard Mille ARM 67-02 in white gold. A Patek Philippe Nautilus Perpetual Calendar Reference 5740 in white gold with blue dial, valued at over $190,000. A Rolex Submariner Reference 126610 LV, the current generation green bezel submariner known as the Kermit. The Sultan's son, Prince Abdul Mateen, shares his father's passion for watches. The prince has been photographed wearing a Patek Philippe World Time Reference 5131 in platinum, a watch that sold at Philips auction in 2019 for $175,000. The royal family's collective interest in horology suggests a substantial private collection maintained across generations. What separates the Sultan's collecting from others on this list is access. When Patek Philippe produces an off-catalog piece available only to their most important clients, the Sultan of Brunei qualifies. When Richard Mille creates a limited edition of 30 pieces, allocation to royalty is guaranteed. The Sultan collects without the constraints that limit even wealthy enthusiasts. The Sultan is rumored to own hundreds of watches, though exact inventory has never been confirmed. Based on his documented acquisitions of high-end Patek Philippe and Richard Mille pieces, experts estimate his watch collection between $15 and $30 million. That estimate is conservative given his wealth and access to brands' most exclusive offerings. Number 4. Eric Clapton, the auction legend. Eric Clapton is one of the greatest guitarists in history. He is also one of the most famous watch collectors of the past 3 decades. Clapton's collection focused heavily on vintage Patek Philippe and Rolex. What makes Clapton notable is not just ownership, but his willingness to sell at auction, providing rare public data on collection values. Most musicians retire rich. Clapton sold one watch for more than most people earn in a decade. In November 2012, Clapton sold his platinum Patek Philippe Reference 2499 Perpetual Calendar Chronograph at Christie's Geneva for 3.44 million Swiss francs, approximately $3.6 million at the time. The 2499 was produced from 1951 to 1985, with only 349 examples made. Clapton's platinum version was one of only 2 known to exist in that metal. An Asian private collector won the bidding. In May 2015, Clapton consigned his Rolex Cosmograph Daytona Reference 6263, nicknamed the Albino, to Philips auction. The Albino is distinguished by its silver dial that matches the color of its subdials, creating a monochromatic look. Only 4 examples are known to exist. The watch sold for $1.4 million. It had previously set a record in 2008 when it sold for $505,000. Clapton has sold multiple watches publicly over the years, providing insight into the quality of his collection. He owned a gold Rolex Daytona Reference 6239, known as the Crazy Doc, with a rare pulsations dial. It sold at Philips in 2022 with estimates exceeding $1.6 million. His Patek Philippe reference 5970 perpetual calendar chronograph and reference 3970 models have also appeared at major auctions. While Clapton has liquidated significant portions of his collection, he maintains private holdings. Industry observers familiar with his collecting history estimate he retains pieces valued between $20 and $30 million. Clapton helped popularize vintage watch collecting in the early 2000s when he began consigning pieces to major auction houses. His sales established market prices for references that previously traded privately with little transparency. Number 3. Jay-Z, the hip-hop pioneer. Jay-Z introduced luxury watches to hip-hop culture in a way no other artist has matched. He made mechanical watches cool before Instagram made them viral. He has rapped about Hublot, Richard Mille, and Audemars Piguet across his 30-year music catalog. More importantly, he owns some of the most expensive watches ever produced. Jay-Z has never publicly disclosed the total value of his watch collection. However, documented pieces provide insight into his holdings. In 2012, Beyoncé gifted him a Hublot Big Bang in 18-karat white gold encrusted with 1,282 diamonds for his 43rd birthday. The watch was valued at $5 million. It took over 14 months to assemble. In December 2021, Jay-Z became the first celebrity photographed wearing the Patek Philippe Nautilus reference 5711 in Tiffany blue. Only 170 were produced. The retail price was $52,000, but one sold at auction for $6.5 million shortly after release. Jay-Z owns a custom Richard Mille RM 56-01 Tourbillon in green sapphire created by customizer Alex Todd. The piece cost approximately $3 million and required 3,000 hours of craftsmanship. The watch was cut from solid blocks of green sapphire. Only 5 standard RM 56-01 watches were produced. Jay-Z's green sapphire version is unique. His collection includes a Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime reference 6300G in white gold featuring 20 complications. Patek Philippe created only 7 of these watches in 2014. The watch retailed for $2.2 million. Similar models have sold on the secondary market between $4 and $6 million. Based on verified acquisitions including the $5 million Hublot, the multi-million-dollar Tiffany Nautilus, the $3 million custom Richard Mille, and the Grandmaster Chime, plus decades of collecting, industry observers estimate Jay-Z's collection between $30 and $50 million. Jay-Z pioneered luxury watch appreciation in popular culture. His 2011 track Otis announced, "New Watch Alert, Hublot." His influence on brands like Audemars Piguet and hip-hop cannot be overstated. He made mechanical watches aspirational to an audience that previously focused on jewelry. Number 2. John Mayer, the connoisseur. John Mayer is widely recognized as the most knowledgeable celebrity watch collector in the world. The 7-time Grammy Award winner has appeared multiple times on Hodinkey's Talking Watches video series. He served as a juror for the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève. He contributes written columns to watch publications. When Mayer speaks about watches, the market listens. When he buys, prices double. John Mayer's collection is estimated at £31 million, approximately $40 million, according to Watch My Diamonds in 2023. The New York Times reported in 2015 that Mayer stated his collection was valued in the tens of millions. CNBC noted that his watch collection represents approximately 25% of his estimated $40 million net worth. Given appreciation in vintage Rolex and Patek Philippe since 2015, current estimates around $40 million appear justified. Mayer's collection centers on vintage Rolex Daytona chronographs. He owns multiple reference 6263 Paul Newman Daytonas that routinely sell at auction for $400,000 or more. Mayer showed a gold reference 6263 with Tiffany stamp on talking watches. Fewer than 10 examples exist with Tiffany co-branding. Similar pieces have sold for $500,000. Mayer's market influence is measurable. In 2019, he praised the yellow gold Rolex Daytona reference 116508 with green dial on talking watches. He called it a sleeper hit. At the time, the watch traded below its $34,000 retail price. Following Mayer's endorsement, prices climbed to $126,000 by March 2022. The watch became known as the John Mayer Daytona. When Rolex discontinued it in 2023, prices jumped another 20% overnight. Beyond Rolex, Mayer owns rare Patek Philippe references including perpetual calendar chronographs and minute repeaters. His collection spans vintage military watches and modern complications. What separates Mayer from other celebrity collectors is respect within the industry. Auction specialists and dealers treat him as a peer, not a client. Number 1. Anant Ambani, the young titan. Anant Ambani is the youngest son of Mukesh Ambani, the richest man in Asia with a net worth exceeding $100 billion. Anant serves as executive director at Reliance Industries and founded Vantara, a 3,000-acre animal rescue center in India. He is 30 years old. His watch collection is estimated at a minimum of $25 million based on documented pieces. The true total is likely significantly higher. In April 2023, Anant wore a Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime reference 6300G to the opening of the Nida Mukesh Ambani Cultural Center in Mumbai. This watch is Patek Philippe's most complicated wristwatch ever produced. It features 20 complications and contains 1,366 individual components. Only 7 were created. Current market value estimates range from $4 to $9 million. That is not Anant's most expensive watch. He owns a Richard Mille RM56-01 tourbillon in green sapphire carved from solid sapphire blocks. The watch cost approximately $5 to $6 million. Only 5 standard RM56-01 models exist. Anant's green sapphire version is bespoke. Anant owns a Patek Philippe Sky Moon tourbillon reference 6002R featuring 12 complications including a celestial chart. Retail price exceeds $5 million. He owns a Richard Mille RM 52-05 Pharrell Williams edition, one of 30 pieces produced, valued at $2 million. The dial depicts Earth viewed from Mars. During his 2024 wedding, Anant gifted custom Audemars Piguet Royal Oak perpetual calendar watches to 25 groomsmen. Each watch retailed for $220,000. That is $5.5 million in gifts alone. His documented collection includes a Patek Philippe Nautilus travel time with baguette rubies and diamonds valued at $1.32 million, a Richard Mille koi fish tourbillon valued at $1.25 million, and a Richard Mille RM056 sapphire valued at $1.7 million. Documented pieces alone exceed $26 million for 7 watches. Industry sources estimate Anant's full collection at 200 crore rupees, approximately $25 million, minimum. Given his documented acquisitions, true collection value likely ranges from $50 to $100 million. What separates Anant from other collectors is access at the highest level. When Patek Philippe creates an off-catalog Nautilus available only to VVIP clients, Anant qualifies. When Richard Mille produces a one-of-one bespoke sapphire tourbillon, Anant commissions it. He collects at a level where price is not a constraint and availability is determined solely by relationships with brands. At 30, Anant Ambani has built what may be the most valuable private watch collection assembled by anyone under 35 in history. His acquisitions of museum-quality complications and his willingness to wear $9 million watches to business meetings demonstrate that for the world's wealthiest collectors, watches are not investments. They are passion expressed without limits. Remember the 30-year-old who wore a $9 million watch to a meeting? That is Anant Ambani. That is collecting at the highest level. No limits, no compromise. Just pure passion for mechanical perfection. These 10 collectors represent the pinnacle of private watch ownership in 2026. From vintage specialists like Goldberger to modern complication collectors like Kevin Hart to the young titan Anant Ambani, they share one trait. They collect what they love without compromise. Their combined collections exceed $200 million in documented timepieces. They have set auction records, influenced market trends, and elevated mechanical watchmaking to the status it holds today. Whether owning seven-figure Patek Philippe Grand Complications or rare vintage Rolex Daytonas, these collectors prove that for some, time is worth whatever it costs. Which collection impressed you most? Let us know in the comments.